What's up, guys? Today's video idea is a person from each team that I think will be a big factor, almost like an MVP type person, a guy that can change the course of what happens in this DS for each team. I was going to do defensive, like a pitcher and a offensive position player, and see how that goes. But I think I'm just going to do one person from each team that I think will make the biggest difference in this DS. And so we're going to start off with the Miami Marlins here. And we got Brandon Kintzler, and he's their closer this year. He had a really good season. He had 12 regular season saves in just this short 60-game season. Really good ERA, good WHIP. Did really well for them. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think they have a couple good starting pitchers to get them through series, and I think they have a good lineup. So their lineup should hit and should be on base a lot, getting in runs. So I think it'll come down to if they can close games out, and he's a big factor in that. So I think he's their biggest determining factor as far as a single player goes. Moving on to Atlanta, we got Max Fried, and he's been great for them this year. But I think the biggest thing will come down to their how many times he can come in. If he can come in every game that he starts and give them what he gave them against the Reds, 7 innings, 6 hits, but no runs scored, 5 Ks. He's not going to strike out everybody, but if he can keep them to 1 or no runs like that in 7 innings, eat up 7 innings for the Braves, their bullpen won't have to do a lot of work. So I think that will make up for a lot of it. And so I think he's their biggest catalyst in this, and the player I'm picking for the Braves. Now moving on to the Astros, I'm picking Jose Urquidy, their starting pitcher. He's not their ace, as Greinke moved into that spot after Verlander left, and Greinke didn't have a great start in the Wild Card Series, but Jose Urquidy had a 4 1/3 innings pitched with a 2.0 ERA, and he's not striking out a lot of guys, not obviously pitching very deep into the game with a 4 1/3 inning appearance, but I think that's what I'm saying. If he could up that, pitch more innings, bring a little pressure off the bullpen, I think the bullpen with Ryan Presley back and some of those other guys, they'll be fine. I think the lineup's going to be fine, even though don't particularly love a lot of guys in that lineup, especially guys that say weird things, Carlos Correa. But yeah, I think he'll be the biggest catalyst in this and be their sleeper that could come through and really help them push past the A's. Moving on to the A's, I am picking Liam Hendriks for this one, their closer. I know their bullpen's been the best in baseball, and I know he's the closer of that bullpen and kind of holds things down there. But he didn't really have, the greatest outing in the Wild Card Series. He has a 6.75 ERA in the postseason now. He did get the save, but he's just looked a little off. Their bullpen looked a little off against the Astros yesterday. Gave up the most hits that they've given up all year, that pitching staff did yesterday. So I think if he can hold down the end of that pen, their starting pitching's been good enough, and I think their batting has stepped up. I know hurts not having Matt Chapman. I know the batting order is a little weaker without him, but I think they'll be fine as long as they can keep with their strong suit, which has been Liam Hendriks and that bullpen. Moving on to the Yankees, there's a lot of guys you could pick on the Yankees. As of all these teams, you can pick any of the big guys. I'm not going to pick Betts. I'm not going to pick Judge. I'm not going to pick the obvious choices for a lot of these teams. I'm not going to go with Blake Snell or Tyler Glasnow. I'm not going to go with Freddie Freeman. So for the Yankees, I'm going with Gio Urshela, and that is their third baseman. He's been lockdown defense. He's played really good defense for them, and he's got 5 RBIs and a 357 batting average in the postseason. I think he's tied for second or third in the postseason right now for most RBIs and is pretty high up there in batting average too. He's a sleeper because that lineup is so good. The starting pitching's really good. The bullpen's really good, and I think he's a sleeper because he can really make a difference that people aren't expecting. Him and Clint Frazier, coming through with some big hits, and people aren't expecting them. That's the guys in the order they're not worried about. They're looking for the Stanton and the DJ LeMahieu and the Aaron Judge, and then he comes through, and they got to keep going, keep grinding through these good batters because they have so many good hitters. And so I think that will really get in the way of other teams trying to attack them and looking for their weaknesses, because if he and Clint Frazier and guys like that can step up, then I think that will make them almost impenetrable. Moving on from the Yankees, we're going to look at who they're playing, which is the Rays. And for the Rays, I'm going to go with a hitter here. I'm going to go with Randy Arozarena, which is not one of their big names going into this season and has been performing lights out, though. He's hitting .583 in the postseason. He's got 7 hits, which is the second most at anyone in the postseason so far. He's got 5 runs. He's just been a hit machine, on-base machine, scoring. He's helping their offense. And I think they're pitching through the bullpen with Nick Anderson and all those guys, and then the starting staff with Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow, they're going to be fine with pitching. I think what's really going to have to happen here is their offense got to keep up with the Yankees, even if they are muffled through their Rays pitching. I think he's going to be a big catalyst in helping do that, and I think he's just putting on a show. And I think if he can keep that going for the next couple weeks, that they have a real shot of going far with him being their sleeper MVP candidate. Moving on to our last two teams here, we got the San Diego Padres and the Dodgers. We're going to start off with the Padres, and I'm going to go with Jake Cronenworth. I know I could look at their bullpen. I could probably even look at their starting pitching if Danielson Lamet and Mike Clevenger stay healthy and Chris Paddock can do what he can do. But I'm going to go with another bat here. I know Tatis is going to hit. I know Machado is going to do his thing. They can perform in the postseason, and they have been. I think Cronenworth is a sleeper here, man. If he can keep playing middle infield, and he can really play anywhere, but if he can keep hitting like he's been doing, he's got a 625 average right now. He's got one of the highest averages in the postseason out of any team that's still in it, and he's on fire. He's got very timely hits. He's coming up in big spots and doing things that the Padres need to win games and win specific games. So I think he could be a big sleeper. If he can keep doing stuff like that he will help them pull out a couple close games that they probably are going to have here with the Dodgers. So I really like him. I think he's going to make a big difference, and he's my sleeper pick for the Padres postseason MVP during the DS. Moving on here, we have the Dodgers. My Dodgers pick is none other than Dave Roberts. Just kidding. But seriously, this guy really can put his foot in his mouth and make some mistakes here that could cost the Dodgers another ring. And so I do think he is a very big catalyst and a sleeper that people aren't going to look at. But for a player, I'm going to look at Kenley Jansen, their closer. And, I think he could have a really big difference just because of how stacked the other parts of this team are. Is if he can come in and close out games after Kershaw or Walker Buehler or Dustin May goes 7 or 8 innings and their lineup scores a crap ton of runs, that can make like a huge difference. And, he had a save and 1 inning pitch, no hits. He's been pitching really good. I know they used Brusdar Graterol out of the bullpen too, and he has a save. But, Kenley's the closer no matter what. And I think he has what it takes, and he will. Probably one of the bigger names that we have on this list for a team, but I think he can make such a huge difference closing out games. That's the one thing that they've kind of been weak at, and I think he will make that happen. So, yeah, guys, that's my list here. These are supposed to be picks that aren't always obvious. I know we got Max Fried and we got Kenley Jansen on here and some bigger people, Liam Hendriks, some guys that are super important to teams, obviously. But these are supposed to be guys I think can make or break a DS series with the people they're playing. And hope you guys like my picks. If you guys have different picks that you think or different players you think, or if you agree with some of the guys that I think will have huge differences in your team or a different team going through the DS and making it on to the CS, then comment down below, let me know, and like the video, please subscribe, appreciate it. Anyone watching, listening, thank you.